It's hard to forget how last year the Ravens coaching staff was absolutely raided by the NFL, leading to a lot of concern about what it was going to look like going forward with this football team. Well, we're at the end of another season, and already huge changes in the coaching staff. I'll tell you exactly what it means right after this.
Let's go Ravens, let's go Ravens, let's go Ravens, let's go Ravens. We are one flock, we are one flock, we are one flock, we are one flock.
Hello again and welcome to One Flock. I am your host, Rob Love. And my goodness, it's so nice to have you back here. Yes, we are in the off season, but it did not take much time at all for the Ravens activity to ramp up, and things are happening quickly. The 2024 season is not even over yet. And my goodness, already we're beginning to see a glimpse of what the landscape of the 2025-2026 football season is going to look like. And big changes have happened. You have no doubt already heard Chuck Pagano, who got his career started right here at the Baltimore Ravens in 2008, came in with John Harbaugh and went on to have immediate success in the secondary here with the Baltimore Ravens, working with the likes of Ed Reed. Oh my gosh, that defense was incredible. And then, of course, had so much success that he went on to be the head coach at the Indianapolis Colts for years before going into retirement. And, of course, joining the Pat McAfee show, where we've been seeing him have all types of insightful takes on defense from a coach's perspective. And many people have got accustomed to seeing him there. But if you watched the Pat McAfee show just yesterday, you would have seen, as sad as they are to see him go, they're super excited. And everyone on that set has no doubt, just like John Harbaugh expressed no doubt, that Pagano is going to be a huge asset for the Baltimore Ravens. Check this out. When he was asked about what his role is going to be on staff going forward with the Baltimore Ravens. Check this out. You'll find this interesting.
So whenever this whole thing came about, just want to know what senior assistant second, are you guys going to be working, are you specifically with the safeties and he's with the corners, or are you guys going to be working as a team or vice versa?
Yeah, great question. Because you want to go in on these things with a ton of clarity and take out as much gray AQs as possible, right? On, okay, what that role looks like. They have, secondary coaches right now. Chris Hewitt is the, pass game coordinator, secondary coach. Doug Mallory coaches in the secondary. Both long-time veteran coaches, know a ton of ball, obviously, know the back end. I get an opportunity to go in, fill a role in the back end where, like, okay, like how can I mentor? How can I help? What can I add to this? Go through the things, very familiar with the scheme. Obviously, that scheme, AQ, has not changed for the last, 100 years, it seems like. That thing has been intact. There's been coordinator after coordinator after coordinator, but the nuts and bolts of that scheme have not changed. So it's an opportunity for me to go in and, hey, what do you need? What do you need me to do? How can I help you guys develop these players? They've got phenomenal players back there. We know that, the Kyle Hamiltons of the world, Marlon Humphrey, Brandon Stevens, our Darius, phenomenal job. They've got a bunch of dogs. Nate Wiggins is a rookie out of Clemson after his first year, very promising. So, a ton of great players and an opportunity just to contribute and help build.
Okay, so a couple of things right there, right away. You heard him say he's just trying to contribute in whatever way, and that could be a ton of ways, because again, we're talking about a defensive mind who really has worked with some of the best in the last decade and a half, and has had some of the best defenses put on the field, not just as a secondary coach, but also when he went to the Colts. As the head coach there, the defenses did very well up under his watch. And we'll break that down a little bit more later. I've got some comparisons that I think will really help you appreciate just what the Baltimore Ravens are getting in bringing back Chuck Pagano. But something I thought was interesting, you mentioned how he mentioned Chris Hewitt. Chris Hewitt's been with the Ravens also. It's 13 years, since 2008. Breaking news today, Chris Hewitt, a defensive coach, co-head coach with John Harbaugh, after 13 years, it was announced today he is leaving the Baltimore Ravens. So that role that, as you heard Coach Pagano just mentioned, that he was expecting, at least in this conversation that he had on the Pat McAfee show. Thanks again to the folks at ESPN for that. Chris Hewitt's not going to be on Ravens staff. So obviously, you would assume that Pagano is going to be working a lot with the passing defense, that secondary unit that obviously at some points in this past season was a point of concern, particularly with, did you hear it mention Brandon Stephens? There's been a lot of discussion now that we're in the offseason about what in the world are the Baltimore Ravens going to be doing with Brandon Stephens. I believe that part of that very issue in our secondary is one of the reasons that Chuck Pagano is here and that John thought it was such a great idea to ask him to come back. This is his area of specialty. This is where Coach Pagano got started, working with these amazing secondary schemes and having this tremendous amount of success. Now, is that because the Ravens are interested in trying to see if they can get the most out of Brandon Stephens, putting him on a short-term deal to see if maybe Pagano can bring out the best, get Brandon Stephens to pair up his sticky coverage with actually having ball awareness and having his head turned around and being able to make the plays on the ball that he's been missing, not because he's not right where he should be, but all too often because he just doesn't make the play on the ball. Is this something that the Ravens are looking to do? Or is it because they know that they're not going to be going forward? Because we did hear hinted the other day that the Ravens have looked towards Brandon Stephens, quote unquote, testing the market. So is it because they anticipate him leaving and know they're going to be bringing in young talent or new talent in the secondary, and they want Coach Pagano to be able to work with those? Whichever is the case, you can see right away having Coach Pagano on staff to help with this secondary is nothing but a plus for us going forward. Keep in mind, even with Brandon Stephens, even with the coaching staff that we have in place right now, which I believe is very promising and going forward. We remember Zach Orr, first year as the defensive coordinator, had some things to figure out in the beginning of the season, but really in the second half of the season, that defense really began to take shape as the players begin to get to know what exactly Zach was wanting from them. And also he began to become more familiar with his players. We started really to see things shore up, decisions being made. Coach Pease was brought back on staff, also has history. He and Pagano both coached together on that defense back before the Ravens Super Bowl in 2012. And of course, we know that Coach Pagano went on to be a head coach. Coach Pease went on to be obviously an accomplished defensive coordinator for the Ravens for years. We're going to look at some more details on that here in just a second. But having both of these pieces to support Zach Orr as he continues to develop and he's showing great trajectory as far as how his career is going already this early in his tenure as a defensive coordinator. You just can't help but be excited. I can't help but be excited by what we see coming into formation with this coaching staff. We've got like Coach Pagano mentioned, we've got Marlon Humphrey coming back. You know, we've got Kyle Hamilton. We've got Nate Wiggins. We've got Ardarius Washington. And then Brandon Stephens, everyone knows how good he is in coverage, but just some things that he hasn't been able to iron out except for maybe in one season. So this asset, I can see why Coach Pagano is excited about what he can do with this defense and what he can contribute and the pieces he has to work with. As he said in that same show with Pat McAfee, he expects to be able to win it all, as do we. Who doesn't want that on the sidelines? I mean, really excited. Let's take a look really quick because I wanted you to see just what we're getting back into our building as far as effectiveness in working with secondaries and putting together some really good defenses. Look at this. So as we look here, you can see that Coach Pagano, from the very beginning of John Harbaugh's career here at the Baltimore Ravens, he was there 2008 to 2010. And where was he? Secondary coach. 2011, defensive coordinator. And he didn't get to stay there long because he did such a good job there that the very next year, Indianapolis Colts came a knocking and said, we need you to be our head coach. And there we see he stayed there from 2012, 2017, before finally in 2019 to 2020, ending as a defensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears. But you can see, look at the accomplishment that he had when he was here the last time. 2011 as defensive coordinator, number 3 overall total defense, number 4 in pass defense, and number 2 in rush defense. Incredible. 2012 as a head coach, you can see the situation he came into there. The Colts didn't have a very good defense, but I want you to notice what that passing defense did from the first year he was there to the second year he was there. In 2012, they were the 21st passing defense. In 2013, they jumped all the way to the 13th passing defense, continued to improve in 2014 to 12th. And this is with him splitting duties, no doubt helping his defensive coordinators and defensive staff there. He's the head coach and still was able to have that type of impact on the defense. This is who we're getting as an asset, as an extra piece on our defensive unit. It's incredible. And I just wanted you to see that because when you understand that we already have, Zach Orr, who's showing a lot of promise, who's also homegrown from the Ravens. We added Coach Pease. Oh, by the way, did I mention that Coach Pease and Coach Pagano are very familiar with each other? They've worked together on this team, on this staff under Harbaugh. Check this out. So here you have their tenures right next to each other right here in 2008. You see they both arrived as part of that coaching staff with John Harbaugh. Defensive backs coach, second rated in the league under Pagano. Then Dean Pease, second rated total defense as the linebackers coach. Look at this. 2009, look at them. Passing defense, 8th under Pagano's group. 3rd linebackers coach under Dean Pease. Look at P&P. Defensive coordinator in 2010. The defense was 3rd overall under Pagano's watch there. And then, of course, total defense 10th with Pease at the reins. And then, of course, in 2011, defense 3rd on both sides. These guys work well together. P&P. But it's not just P&P, is it? It is not just P&P. Yes, we do have Pease and Pagano. But let's not forget, it started with Zach Orr. So I just got one question for you. And you know what question I got for you? This is what I want to know. You down with OPP? Zach Orr, Coach Pease, Coach Pagano, OPP. We dubbing it right here. This defense, we all about to be down with OPP. Zach Orr, Coach Pease, Coach Pagano. Defense about to be real, folks. Remember, you heard it here first. The ride has already started. The Ravens, I wholeheartedly believe, are in full-fledged win now mode. And do you want them to be in anything else? I believe that this move, bringing an accomplished head coach, a former Raven, part of one of the greatest defenses the NFL's ever seen, a secondary specialist, to pair up with what Zach Orr and Dan Pease have already started to fit in place as we saw at the end of this last season. We are in win now mode. Let's not forget the final coaching update that we now have heard from both ESPN, NBC, so many different news sources. Yes, Todd Monken An extension is being inked right now as we speak to secure him being here. So not only will the offense and that coaching staff be in gear ready to go with these updates, these changes that we've heard about in the last couple of days on the defensive staff, Baltimore Ravens will be rearing and ready to go. I believe the reason why Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson are not playing in the Pro Bowl is because the only thing on their mind right now is the Super Bowl they feel like they should be playing in. They're feeling the pain, the very same pain that we are. And it's nice to see the Ravens are gearing up for win now mode going into the season that's coming up. To Coach Chris Hewitt, a big thank you. Coach Hewitt, thank you for the 13 years. Thank you for your contribution. You are a Raven. You'll always be a Raven. And we know you were the assistant head coach in 2024. Maybe you're leaving to go seek a head coach position somewhere. Wherever you're going, we wish you all the best. We thank you for all you've done here. And just a big thank you. Once a Raven, always a Raven. You know how we are. One flock is how we fly. Well, that's it for today, folks. These are the updates. I will continue to keep you up to date as things continue to progress. We know we still have the draft coming up. We still have, to decide what pieces are staying, what pieces are leaving. A lot is going to be happening, and we're going to keep you up to date with everything right here on One Flock. If you're new, please take out the time, hit the like button. Hope you enjoyed and found value in today's show. Subscribe. We'd love to have you back. We're growing. We're new. We're coming up on our first month as a channel, as a community, and we're so happy to have you all here. Love to hear your comments. Love to hear what you think about Coach Pagano coming back. In fact, drop me a comment now. Tell me, are you down with OPP? If you down with OPP, put it in the comments. Put it in the comments. I'm down with OPP. Or Peas, Pagano, we doing it. I'm Rob Love, I'm Rob Love, your host. So glad you joined me today on this edition of One Flock. Please come back. We've got more to talk about. Of course, we know the Super Bowl is coming. And prior to that game, I got some very interesting things that I know you guys are going to want to see about how the NFL and the Kansas City Chiefs have been operating that is raising some flags. Flags. Did I mention flags? Did I mention flags? It's raising red flags. Unfortunately, not raising very many yellow flags. But we'll talk about that. Again, maybe for the last time. We'll see. Anyhow, thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Remember, there's somebody in this world that you know of that needs a little bit more love in their life. Please give it to them, because if there's one thing in this world that it'll never be too full of, that is love. For One Flock, I'm saying thank you. I'm your host, Rob Love. We'll see you back next time. Thanks for flying with a brother. Let's go.
We take the field as one flock. No Ravens, here we go as one flock. We keep grinding till we soar to the top. Come on, Ravens, here we go as one flock. We keep grinding till we soar to the top. Let's go Ravens, let's go Ravens, let's go Ravens, let's go Ravens. We are one flock, we are one flock, we are one flock, we are one flock.
Everything out of me, they gon' get a Super Bowl out of me.